You already know what rich is supposed to look like on a screen. The car, the watch, the kitchen that belongs in a magazine. But here is something nobody selling you anything wants you to hear. Almost everything that actually makes a life feel rich is already sitting in front of you, and it costs exactly nothing. A slow morning, a quiet mind, a body that slept well. Real wealth was never the stuff. It was the feeling the stuff was supposed to buy. Today, 15 little luxuries that cost $0, and why the people who feel richest often spend the least. Here is the part that surprises people. When you talk to folks who feel genuinely wealthy, and I mean the calm, unbothered, sleep like a baby kind of wealthy, they rarely point to a purchase. They point to how their days actually feel. The unhurried coffee, the walk with no destination, the quiet confidence that comes from not owing anyone an explanation for their time. None of that is sold in a store, which is exactly why almost nobody is advertising it to you. Instead, we get sold the opposite. The average person guesses they spend around $90 a month on subscriptions, when the real number is closer to $220, quietly draining out of the account every month for services half of us forgot we were even paying for. We keep buying the feeling of a rich life on a monthly plan when the real version was free the whole time. So let us go through 15 of these free luxuries, one at a time. A few will feel obvious the second you hear them. A couple might change how tomorrow morning goes, and the very last one is the one that quietly holds the other 14 together, so stay with me all the way to that. Number 1, the first hour of the day, before the world gets its hands on you. Most of us hand that hour away before we are even fully awake. The average American now checks their phone close to 200 times a day, and more than 8 in 10 reach for it within 10 minutes of opening their eyes. So before you have had a single clear thought of your own, you have already absorbed the news, other people's opinions, and a long list of things that suddenly need doing. There is a quieter option, and it is completely free. Leave the phone face down for the first hour. Drink something warm while it is still warm. Let your own thoughts show up before everyone else's do. And notice how differently the day sets up when it starts on your terms instead of an algorithm's. People book expensive spa weekends chasing the exact feeling that a slow, unhijacked morning hands you for nothing. The richest part of the day was always the beginning of it. You were just giving it away before you were even awake enough to enjoy it. Try it for only 3 mornings and pay attention to how much calmer your head feels by noon. Nothing about your actual life changed. You simply stopped letting the loudest voices in the world speak before you got to. Number 2, a full, unbothered night of sleep. We treat sleep like the thing we cut first when life gets busy, as if rest were a reward we have not quite earned yet. Flip that around. Deep sleep is the luxury, and it is one of the few genuinely priceless ones that money keeps trying and failing to buy. Think about a nurse named Cecile Ramos, who spent years wearing her exhaustion like a badge, running on coffee and 4 or 5 broken hours a night. Nothing changed about her income the year she finally started protecting her sleep. What changed was everything else. Her patience came back. Her focus sharpened. That low hum of dread she used to carry around all day quietly faded out. She did not buy a better mattress or some fancy tracker. She just started treating the last hour before bed as protected time. No screens, no scrolling, lights turned low. A body that is truly rested moves through the world like it owns the place, and every bit of that is free. Most of us are simply too wired and too busy to claim it. Number 3, time outside in something green. There is a large study out of the United Kingdom tracking nearly 20,000 people that landed on a surprisingly clear threshold. Spend at least 2 hours a week in nature, a park, a trail, a stretch of trees, and you are significantly more likely to report good health and real well-being than someone who gets none at all. 2 hours, spread across a whole week. And it did not matter whether people got there in one long visit or a handful of short ones. Rich or barely getting by, older or younger, the effect held about the same for everyone. Nobody is charging admission for the morning light coming down through the trees. The park at the end of your street has been free your entire life. We just quietly decided somewhere along the way that time spent doing nothing productive outdoors was time wasted, when it may honestly be one of the highest returns available to a human being. And the whole ticket price is a pair of shoes and the willingness to actually walk out the door. And you do not need a forest or a mountain to collect the benefit. A tree-lined street, a bench in a city park, a few slow minutes beside any patch of water will do the job just fine. Your body never checks the price of the view. It just quietly settles the moment you give it something green to rest on. Number 4, doing one single thing at a time. Your attention might be the most valuable thing you own. And right now, dozens of companies are competing around the clock to rent it from you for free. A software engineer named Dominic Hale described the shift better than I could. For years, he did everything at once: email open while eating, a show playing while working, phone in hand during his kid's bedtime story. He felt busy every waking minute and somehow present for none of it. When he started doing single things fully, eating with no screen, working in real focused blocks, listening to his kid like the story actually mattered, he said it felt like someone had turned the volume back up on his own life. Undivided attention has quietly become a luxury almost nobody gives themselves anymore. You do not have to buy a thing to have it. You just have to stop splitting yourself into little pieces and handing them out to everyone with a notification. Give one moment your whole self and watch how much bigger that ordinary moment gets. Number 5, a space that feels calm because you cleared it out, not because you filled it up. There is a strange trap that catches people the moment they start earning a little more. The house fills up, the closet overflows, and the spare room slowly turns into a storage unit for things bought once and forgotten. And every one of those objects quietly charges rent, in space, in cleaning, in the low background stress of stepping around clutter you no longer even see. A retired teacher named Marguerite Odom spent one slow weekend removing everything from her home that she would not bother replacing if it disappeared. She sold a little of it, gave a lot of it away, and spent nothing at all in the process. But she said her rooms suddenly felt larger, her mornings felt simpler, and for the first time in years, she could find everything she owned without hunting for it. A clear, calm room is that luxury hotel feeling you can create for $0, using only what you decide you are finally ready to let go of. Number 6, the freedom to say no. Researchers at Harvard and the University of British Columbia surveyed thousands of people across several countries and found something quietly radical. People who valued their time over money and who actually protected it reported more satisfaction with their lives, no matter how much they happened to earn. The money did not have to be part of the equation at all. And the simplest way to protect your time costs you absolutely nothing. It is a complete sentence, and the sentence is no. No to the meeting that could have been a 2-line message. No to the plan you already know in your gut you will dread. No to the favor that quietly swallows the one Saturday you needed for yourself. Every no you say is a yes to something you actually care about. Wealthy people guard their calendars like it is a full-time job, because in a real sense, it is exactly that. You are allowed to start doing the very same thing today, and it will not cost you a single cent to begin. The hard part is never the word itself. It is the little wave of guilt that shows up right after you say it. But every time you protect an hour that was truly yours, you are buying back a piece of your own life that no amount of overtime could ever purchase for you later. Number 7, A long walk with nowhere in particular to be. Not exercise, not steps to hit some daily goal, just walking for the plain pleasure of moving through the world at the speed of a thought. A warehouse manager named Solomon Petrie started walking after dinner every night, no phone, no podcast, no destination at all. He was not trying to lose weight or fix any one thing. He just noticed that the problems that felt absolutely enormous back at his desk would shrink down to a reasonable size somewhere around the second corner. Some of his best ideas showed up on those walks, completely uninvited, the moment he stopped chasing them. A walk is one of the oldest luxuries there is, and it has never once been put behind a paywall. The sidewalk right outside your door already leads somewhere good, even when the somewhere turns out to be nothing more than a clearer head and a slower heartbeat. Number 8, a real meal made at home and eaten slowly. Somewhere along the way, we started treating cooking as a chore to outsource and eating as something to rush through with one hand while the other stays glued to a phone. But a simple meal you made yourself, sat down at an actual table with the screen out of reach, is a small daily luxury dressed up as an ordinary Tuesday. It comes out warmer than takeout and cheaper by a wide margin, which quietly helps the bigger money situation too. And the act of paying real attention to your own food, the smell of it, the taste, the person sitting across from you, is the exact thing the finest restaurant is actually selling. You can plate it on the dishes you already own. Sit down, slow all the way down, and actually taste the thing you made. That whole experience was never really about the price on the menu. Number 9, real silence on purpose. We are almost never quiet anymore. A screen is glowing, a feed is refreshing, a notification is waiting, and there is a comfortable background noise for every possible moment of stillness. So genuine silence has quietly become rare, which is really just another way of saying it has become valuable. Try sitting somewhere for 20 minutes with no input at all, no music, no voices, no scrolling, nothing. It feels uncomfortable for about the first 5 minutes, and then something in your nervous system finally, slowly unclenches. People fly across the country to silent retreats and pay real money to sit in a quiet room and do absolutely nothing. That quiet room is available to you tonight, for free, the moment you are willing to turn everything off and simply be there in it. Boredom is not the enemy here. It is usually just the doorway to the calm sitting underneath it. Before we get into the back half of this list, and the last few are the ones people tell me stick with them the longest, do me one small favor. If any of this is landing for you, go ahead and subscribe and stick around. This channel is built for exactly this, the quiet, unglamorous habits that make an ordinary life feel wealthy without spending more. All right, let us keep going. Number 10, reading, especially from a book you did not pay a dime for. Your public library is one of the last genuinely magical deals left anywhere in the country. Thousands of books, audiobooks, and even free online courses, the collected thinking of some of the smartest people who ever lived, and it costs you nothing but a card. A bus driver named Harlan Frey works his way through a fresh stack of library books every single month. Everything from history to money to novels he never would have picked otherwise. He likes to say he gets a private education on a public budget. There is a particular richness to an evening spent inside a good book, the phone left in another room entirely, the noise of the day going soft around you. It is the exact feeling of someone curled up in a cozy chair with a warm drink and nowhere to be. And the library has been quietly offering that feeling, completely free, the whole time you were paying for other things. It is not even only books anymore. Most library cards now unlock free movies, free music, and full learning platforms you would otherwise pay a monthly fee to use. One quiet card in your wallet can replace a small stack of subscriptions, and it hands you an evening that feels expensive for the grand total of nothing. Number 11, a real conversation with someone you love. This one is not just pleasant. It may be one of the most important things on the entire list. The United States Surgeon General put out an advisory calling loneliness a genuine public health crisis, noting that being chronically disconnected can carry a risk to your health on the level of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. About half of American adults report feeling lonely, and the cure is not for sale anywhere. It is a phone call to the friend you keep meaning to reach, or a long dinner with the people who knew you back before you had anything. A slow, unhurried talk where nobody once glances at the time is a luxury that money genuinely cannot buy, and that connection freely gives away. The people who feel the richest are almost never the most isolated ones. They tend to be the ones surrounded by a few real relationships they actually take the time to tend and water. You do not need a packed social calendar for this either. 1 or 2 people who truly know you will carry you further than 100 shallow contacts ever could. The luxury was never the size of the crowd. It is being fully known by even a couple of people who are genuinely glad you exist. Number 12, the simple habit of noticing what you already have. There is a reason the same old advice keeps surviving century after century. Wanting less turns out to be a faster road to feeling rich than earning more, because the wanting never really ends on its own. The moment you can finally afford the thing you wanted, a newer version quietly appears, and the finish line politely steps back another few feet. Gratitude is the one move that actually breaks that loop. Not the greeting card version of it, but the plain practice of pausing at the end of a day to notice what was already good about it. The roof that kept the rain off, the meal you were not worried about affording, the people who are somehow still here. It slowly rewires how the whole day feels, and it is completely impossible to overspend on. The richest feeling available to any human being is that quiet sense that what you already have is genuinely enough. That one is homegrown, and it stays free for life. There is a small trick that makes it stick. Before you reach for the next thing you are sure you want, take one honest look at everything that same craving quietly made you overlook. 9 times out of 10, the life you were rushing to upgrade was already pretty good. You just had not slowed down long enough to actually see it. Number 13, opening your home to the people you care about. Somewhere we all picked up the idea that having folks over requires a spotless house, a catered spread, and a place that photographs like a showroom. That single idea has quietly stopped a lot of us from doing the thing at all. But nobody who loves you ever came for the decor. A mechanic named Rafael Ibarra hosts a simple Sunday dinner most weeks. Nothing fancy about it, a big pot of something cheap, mismatched chairs, and whoever can make it that day. He says it is easily the richest few hours of his entire week, and it costs him about the price of a bag of rice and a bag of beans. The warmth of a full, noisy table has nothing whatsoever to do with money. Community is a luxury we have been slowly tricked into believing we cannot afford, when the truth runs in exactly the other direction. It is one of the very few genuinely priceless things that also happens to be dirt cheap, and there is a quiet financial upside tucked inside it too. A night in with people you love almost always beats another night out spending money to feel connected to strangers. The full table saves you real cash while feeding something no restaurant ever could. That is a rare kind of deal, the sort where the cheaper option is somehow also the better one. Number 14, teaching yourself something brand new for nothing. There has never once been a moment in human history when this much knowledge sat this freely available. Full university lectures, entire trades, languages, instruments, skills that used to cost a small fortune to learn, all of it sitting there waiting, so much of it at no charge at all. A home health aide named Winnie Osei taught herself to bake, then to fix small things around her apartment, then the actual basics of investing, all from free resources squeezed into her lunch breaks. Each new skill made her feel more capable and a little less at the mercy of paying someone else for everything. Learning compounds in the very same way that money compounds. A small deposit of curiosity today quietly grows into something genuinely valuable years down the line. The tuition for most of it now is zero. All it really asks of you is your attention and a bit of consistency. And both of those you already own outright. Number 15, and this is the one that quietly holds up every other thing on the list. Financial peace. Not wealth, not a huge number sitting in some account, just the deep calm that comes from knowing you are not one bad week away from disaster. Think about a delivery driver named Tobias Klein. He does not earn a fortune by anybody's math, but he slowly built himself a small cushion, a few months of expenses tucked into a plain, high-yield savings account, the kind paying around 4% right now, while the average account out there quietly pays only about a third of 1%. He is not rich by any magazine's definition of the word, and yet he sleeps better at night than plenty of people earning 3 times what he does, because a car repair or a slow week at work no longer feels like the actual end of the world. That right there is the feeling every single luxury on this list has been circling the whole time. Peace, room to breathe. The quiet confidence that you are going to be all right. Starting that cushion does not require a raise or a windfall. It starts with the first small amount you protect instead of spend, and the peace begins the very moment you decide to do it. And here is what almost nobody tells you about that cushion. Its real value is not the interest, as nice as a few extra dollars always are. What it truly buys you is calm, the way it can turn a frightening phone call into a minor annoyance. That calm is the most expensive feeling thing on this entire list, and you can start building it this very week with whatever you already have. So there they are, 15 little luxuries, and not one of them needs a bigger paycheck to unlock. The slow morning, the long walk, the quiet hour, the full table, the good night of sleep, and underneath all of it, the simple peace of knowing you are all right. Here is the strange truth. The version of rich most of us got sold, the shiny one glowing on the screen, was mostly just the packaging around the real thing. And that real thing was free the entire time, sitting quietly in the parts of the day we kept rushing straight past. Pick even one of these 15 and actually protect it this week, and you will feel richer by Friday without your bank balance moving a single inch. Now I would genuinely love to hear from you, because this is honestly where it gets good. Which of these 15 do you already do without ever once thinking of it as a luxury? Which one hit a little too close to home just now? And if you have your own free luxury, some small thing that costs nothing and means everything to you, drop it down in the comments. I read them, and some of the best ideas I know first showed up as a comment from someone just like you. Tell me the moment in your day that already feels like real wealth, tell me which one you are going to try first, and tell me a little about the life you are quietly building right now. I will see you in the next one.